Hello, genealogists. This is Craig, and we begin our process of examining genealogical standards as found in the second edition revised of Genealogical Standards, which was produced by the Board for Certification of Genealogists. And this is where I caveat and say I do not represent the Board for the Certification of Genealogists. I am just an associate of the board. I'm not a trustee. I have never been a trustee. However, I believe firmly in the standards and what the Board for Certification of Genealogists means. You will hear this each time that we discuss a standard at the very beginning so that everybody is perfectly clear that you're not going to say, but Craig Scott said. All I'm going to give you is my opinion on the matter, and it's worth about squat. And we'll leave it at that. Today we're going to start on Chapter 3 of Genealogy Standards, second edition revised, Standards for Researching. And today we're going to have an overview because this is a rather large section in the standards. It's divided into various subsections. So the first one is planning research, and its goal is planned research avoids inefficiency, needless reexamination of sources, omission of useful sources, and other pitfalls of haphazard examination of source material. And 10 standards address genealogical research planning. And those 10 standards are number 9, plan research, number 10, effective research questions, number 11, sound basis, number 12, broad context, number 13, source-based content, number 14, topical breadth, 15, efficient sequence, 16, flexibility, 17, extent, and 18, terminating the plan. Probably the sense of that entire section is going to be you have to have a research question. The next section deals with collecting data. The genealogical proof standard requires thorough research related to the identity, relationship, event, or situation in question. Genealogists collect information from a variety of sources and about widely diverse subjects in order to understand the identity, history, and relationships of a particular person, family, or group. 18 standards address genealogical data collection activities. I always love to watch the word event appear in these things because most genealogists forget that you can apply the genealogical proof standard to an event. That's something that I actually do often when I talk about putting together the names of people who died in battle, for example. No kinship really involved, but they died in that battle. That's a genealogical event, for example, just as an aside. So standard 19 is data collection scope. 20 is careful handling. 21 is respect for source caretakers. 22 is using others' work. 23 is reading handwriting. 24 is understanding meanings. 25 is note-taking content. 26 is distinction between content and comments. 27 is note-taking objectivity. 28 is images and printouts. 29 is transcriptions. 30 is abstracts. 31 is quotations. 32 is transcribing, abstracting, and quoting principles. 33 is paraphrases and summaries. 34 is agents. 35 is source analysis. 36 is information analysis. So the next subsection deals with reasoning from evidence. The genealogical proof standard requires genealogists to base conclusions on reliable evidence from independent information items. A conclusion's soundness rests on A, assessments of each relevant source and information item, and B, genealogists' abilities to reason from the evidence that those sources and information items provide. 14 standards address reasoning from evidence. Number 37, sources, information, and evidence. Number 38, source preference. Number 39, information preference. Number 40, evidence mining. 41, evidence scope. 42, evidence discrimination. 43, evidence integrity. 44, evidence reliability. 45, assumptions. 46, evidence independence. 47, evidence correlation. 48, resolving evidence inconsistencies. 49, unresolved evidence inconsistencies. 50, assembling conclusions from evidence. The next section deals with using DNA evidence. Meeting the genealogical proof standard requires using all available and relevant types of evidence. DNA evidence both differs from and shares commonalities with documentary evidence. Like other types of evidence, DNA evidence is not always available, relevant, or usable for a specific problem. It is not used alone and involves planning, analyzing, drawing conclusions, and reporting. Unlike other types of evidence, DNA evidence usually comes from people now living. And the standards that deal with using DNA evidence are planning DNA evidence tests. 52, analyzing DNA evidence test results. 53, extent of DNA evidence. 54, sufficient verifiable data. 55, integrating DNA and documentary evidence. 56, conclusions about genetic relationships. And 57, respect for privacy rights. And that brings us to the end of the section on standards for researching. So I'm very much looking forward to the opportunity Saturday by Saturday of sharing with you standard by standard. We'll be starting, of course, with planning research and standard number 9, planned research, next week. So this provides us a plan. We know what we're going to do. If you don't have this book yet, you should. I'm trying to, over time, create all the links in the past pieces so that you can go back and forth and look at the pieces that we've already talked about so that you can catch up if you are not caught up. But I really enjoy going through these because it's as good for me as it is for you, because it's a nice refresher for me, because I literally, of course, have read the book more than once, but holding on to it sometimes is kind of tough. So having a well-thumbed copy of Genealogy Standards is always a good thing for a genealogist. So this is Craig, this is Just Genealogy, and we've now completed an overview of standards for researching and where we're going to go from here. See you tomorrow.